I'm here with Britt Baker, also perhaps your future dentist, Britt.
You never know.
Much has been made about this, and I'm really interested about this because the dental and wrestling communities are somewhat knitted together. Do you get like Isaac Yankem DDS jokes?
I would say probably every single show,
I
at least one.
figured. Because I mean that's the natural thing. Like people are gonna point to that and be like Isaac Yankem DDS. But I mean if you're drawing that comparison, Isaac Yankem DDS made a pretty good career for himself afterwards. Yeah.
Right, right. I would say so.
So explain to me how you balance your time between these two things because that's not exact. This is a unique situation. It's not something you hear of a lot.
Right. Right. Well, I will say it's a lot easier now that I'm working as a dentist instead of going to school to be a dentist. Because when you go to school, you have homework, studying, clinic hour. It's like you don't have a life as it is when you're in dental school. So then to try to juggle along becoming a professional wrestler, which when I started dental school, I was just starting to train to be a wrestler, and that's when it's like constant hours just into studying wrestling, practicing, getting to the gym. So I'm very much relieved that now my time management's a little bit easier because there's no homework after I get home from work. It's just I come home and then work is work and wrestling is wrestling. So that's definitely a relief. But I think it's just as much as anything, you kind of just have to prioritize. As much as I'd like to just relax on the weekends, you got to get out and about. You got to hit the road. You have to, get to the wrestling shows. So, and of course, we love what we do, so that makes it all a lot easier too. When you love what you're doing, doesn't make it seem like so much of a war of time management when you like the two things you're balancing.
Yeah, and the time management is definitely something I'm interested in because a lot of people who wrestle independently, Friday is a big wrestling day for them. Is that the case for you? Because as we're talking on a Friday, or is that a work day for you outside of wrestling?
So it's hit or miss. I work with at a private practice, and the dentist that I work for, he's very much embraced the pro wrestling thing. He thinks it's awesome. He thinks it's cool, which is really hit or miss because some people think if they're not in the pro wrestling world, some people look at you like, okay, you're a freaking weirdo, and then other people are like, whoa, you're so cool. So it's very 50-50, and thankfully the dentist I work for thinks it's really cool. So if I have to sneak out of work Friday early to catch a flight to go somewhere, he's really cool about like covering for me or just letting me go. With that being said, I think I've just gotten lucky where a lot of my bookings end up being Saturday, Sundays lately.
And another thing that I'm particularly intrigued by is it's integrated into your character a little bit, at least in Rise. Your Dr. Britt Baker, BMD there. Uh,
DMD.
Yes, sorry. And do you are you planning on integrating that into the other places that you work, like all around the states?
Yeah. So pretty much ever since All In, that's when I really, really debuted the
Yes.
Dr. Baker thing. I got my lab coat entrance jacket made, and I've been wearing that ever since. So yeah, it's kind of it's a hard. It's not like a black and white gimmick type thing, which a lot of people in wrestling today they don't have like the all out black and white gimmicks either. So it's not something I've completely, figured out or perfected yet, but it's something I'm definitely working towards and gonna keep tying into my wrestling because, one of the easiest gimmicks to acquire is something that you're already living. So
Yeah. So is your dream job in wrestling or the dental industry, or are you pretty much dead set on doing both?
oh, that's such a hard question. I never really know how to answer that one except for that I think obviously anybody that wrestles, their dream is to make a living out of wrestling, a substantial living out of wrestling. Where dentistry is something that I love, and that is like my forever job. So when wrestling's all said and done, and my body's done in the ring and I'm ready to have a family and kids, dentistry is always going to be there. So I think that's my forever dream job, whereas wrestling is my dream job now while I'm young and healthy and able to travel, and I can do it. So yeah, that's such a hard question. I love both of my jobs. However, right now I would love for wrestling to kind of take off a little bit more even than it already has. But if it doesn't, I'm totally cool with how my two jobs are right now as well.
And you started in the ring in just like a little over 3 years ago, correct?
Yep, just over 3 years.
So where are you in relation to where you thought you would be 3 years ago? Because obviously you're very young in the business and both as far as the calendar goes. I mean, you're 27 years old.
Yeah, I am so lucky and very blessed, and I never thought that I would get to do the opportunities that I've done this early. All in, I wrestled in front of 11,000 people. I've gotten to do opportunities with Ring of Honor, with NXT, with WWE. It's crazy, and it's just a lot of good luck that has been coming my way. And I've learned very quickly that you always need to be ready for opportunities because, you never know when they're going to be thrown at you.
You had mentioned Ring of Honor and NXT. I had kind of noticed you never end up working for Impact, and they do a lot of Impact one-night-only shows. Had you ever been contacted about those, or is there a reason why maybe that just hasn't happened?
I was contacted, and it was at a time, I forget what exact one-night-only show it was, but it was again, and I even talked to them about, longer-term stuff, that it was when I was in school, and it was when they were doing their tapings in Orlando, and you come down for like the whole week, and at that time, missing a whole week of classes and clinic, it just wasn't realistic at the time. I wouldn't say that I've completely shut the door on any opportunities with Impact. They have fantastic talent there right now. They just signed Jordan Grace, obviously Tessa, Taya, Allie. There's so many girls there that I would love to work. So that's, I would never say never with Impact.
You've been in and out of Ring of Honor as well. I know that you worked there just a couple of weeks ago. What's your relationship like there? Is that a place that you could see yourself working long term?
Yeah, I'm actually headed there tomorrow and Sunday as well. And I like the opportunities with Women of Honor. It's not like I have anything concrete there as far as storyline or anything goes right now. They just kind of gave me some dates and I'm doing them. But it's such a awesome platform to be able to perform on. The fans are some of the best in the world. The Ring of Honor fans, they're just totally nuts and just wonderful. And they have, there's some great girls there as well. But I'm not signed to anywhere right now. The only place I'm signed is to a 1-year dental contract. That's what anyone asks me if I'm signed anywhere. So it's been fun. I've been really, really playing up the independent card lately, hopping around to here and there.
That's worked out really well for some people. I mean, Deonna Purrazzo was working on like 3 or 4 different TV shows over the course of a week and ended up signed.
Same with Madison Rayne, yeah.
Yeah, Madison Rayne was everywhere, even in that All-In match with you a few months ago, and now she's signed with Ring of Honor. You mentioned that contract. Right. What if you get a WWE offer or a Ring of Honor offer? How will that play into things? Will that change anything? I mean, it'll have to change something for you, but to what degree?
I know. I think a lot of that is so Ring of Honor contract is a little bit different than WWE contract. Obviously, you have a little bit more freedom with your, Monday to Friday or Monday to Thursday. WWE is more so you're at the Performance Center, this and that. I know because I happen to be near and dear to someone who reports there every day. But so I'm not sure how that would work because I can't imagine they would be okay with me being a dentist every day and also being at the Performance Center. There's only enough hours in the day, but if that opportunity came about, I guess it's a discussion that would have to be made. Might be some difficult choices that would have to be made. I'm not really sure, but they have a lot of girls there right now, a lot of talented girls. So I'm anxious to see. A lot of my really close friends are signed to WWE now. Chelsea Green and Deonna are 2 of my best friends, and it's really exciting that they're amongst some of the girls being brought in. It's really really cool, and I can't wait to see what they do with them.
We had the pleasure of having Deanna actually write for us once. A very talented writer, too. So she's got a lot of different things going for her right now. There are a lot of independent wrestlers who you'll see, and they work one region geographically. Like, if people didn't look up anything but your match listing, they'd have no idea where you're based out of, because you're in Illinois, you're in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Florida, Japan even.
Yeah.
What is that like? Because, I mean, you are independent, so you're not contracted to one place, but you're still all over the map.
Right, and that's one of the, I think anybody would tell you, that's one of the coolest things about wrestling is you get to see so many places and see so many different cultures, and even just experience like the wrestling, because the wrestling audience in, say, Kentucky is totally different than the one in Pittsburgh. So it's really cool just to see the different vibes and just the different cultures from all the different areas you get to wrestle.
Did you have to go to Frankfurt and get a goddamn wrestling license in Kentucky?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I did. I think, and then when we're for Louisiana for WrestleMania weekend, we were all getting the physicals for our blood work done. Everybody, that was a fun time.
Oh yeah, it's nuts here. It's really counterproductive here in Kentucky. You have to get a wrestler's license before you take a bump when you're learning to be a pro wrestler. A little odd, I think that order of operations is. You've also appeared for NXT. You've appeared at the Mae Young Classic. Explain to me how that all came about and your experience there.
From Mae Young Classic. So I was an alternate, and I was told pretty much from the first time they contacted me, you might be used or you might not be used. There's no guarantee, but never say never. So that was very black and white from the beginning. But it's still an awesome opportunity. Even if I was just going to watch the entire tournament, at least I'm there and I get to be amongst all those women, because those are seriously some of the best women in the world as far as wrestling goes. And then it was such an emotional roller coaster, because I was the alternate, but then there were a couple girls that didn't pass medicals, and then they passed them, and then they might not pass them. Oh, be ready, Britt. Oh, okay, go watch this match because you might be filling in for then. And then at the end, everyone ended up clearing the medicals, and then they gave me the dark match, which still is awesome. I was so happy to get to do anything there, just to put on your gear and come out and have your name come across the Jumbotron and hear the crowd reaction. It was so fun. Even if it was a dark match, I'm still very thankful. But I still, I have unfinished business as far as Mae Young Classic goes, so I'll be definitely looking out for opportunities with the third Mae Young Classic.
Well, what type of feedback did you get?
I had great feedback, and I was told to remain hopeful for the third Mae Young Classic, and it's always about being the right time, right place. So hopefully the planets align for me, the planets align for whatever they're looking for me, the third one, and I'll be there.
That wasn't your first experience in WWE. You popped up on an episode of Raw a couple years ago against Nia Jax. How was that contact made, and how were you kind of informed of what you'd be doing that night?
Oh my gosh, that was probably the most anxious I've ever been in my entire life. So at the time, I had done a couple of the road loops for extra work before, and it was very like uneventful for women. A lot of the men extra talent, they would get used for like security spots or to get beat up or just the random stuff. But the girls, we kind of always just hung out and watched Fat and Catering all day. But that night in particular, John Cone, the ref, pulled me aside, and he was like, "Hey, I think you're going to be wrestling Nia Jax tonight." And I'm like, I thought it was a joke, and there's like a hidden camera or something. I was like, oh yeah, okay, because at this point there had been no extra talent or no enhancement matches for women. It just wasn't a thing. So he's like, yeah, so go ahead, put on your gear. We're gonna have you, bump around a little bit. And I'm like, this is really weird. Like, is this real? And sure enough, they're like, yeah, so tonight's Nia's first match on Raw. We're going to debut her, because this was the match right, or the Raw right after the original brand split of Raw and SmackDown, and it was her first match from coming up from NXT, and you can only imagine how nervous I was trying to get in the ring with Nia Jax, her Raw debut.
Not just that. I mean, you know that she wants to impress too.
Right, exactly.
So you're both in that spot where
so much pressure.
Yeah, so she's trying to get and sustain a push. You're trying to turn some heads of your own there.
Right. But again, if any opportunity there is so much fun, so rewarding. All you can be is just thankful.
Now I want to talk about the All-In match as we wrap up. Man, I love that match. That was just a blast to watch. It was 4 women who work similar but different styles. A lot of meshing went on there. That was just a perfect blend for that night and a really good display. And going into the show, people thought that there would only be this one match that had a female presence. As we saw, Penelope Ford got involved in a match later. Brandy Rhodes got involved. You had Jordan Grace. What was that like, being a part of that match that got such high praise everywhere?
That to date is one of my, I don't know if that will ever be topped, but that was one of my favorite nights just in general of wrestling. Not just my favorite match, just my favorite night, because we got to sit back and watch the rest of the show too, and that crowd was so electric, and they were there purely just for wrestling, and they wanted All In to be a success. It's not like these fans were sitting around waiting to boo something. They were just so happy to be there and so excited for wrestling. And that's the most rewarding crowd to wrestle in front of. And of course we were so nervous because so many eyes on us, and you're on a wrestling card with the likes of, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody, and here we are, 4 girls that have some experience with each other. That was my first time in a ring with Madison Rayne, and just like you said, kind of similar styles, but also in our own way totally different. So it was definitely a little bit of an experiment on our end, but it thankfully all played out very well, and like I said, that's forever one of my most memorable and favorite matches.
Thought it was kind of amazing how everything came together with how that was booked, because you have Tessa Blanchard, who's going to be on the Women of Wrestling series and is on Impact right now. Chelsea Green on Lucha Underground, had been on Impact this year, just got signed by WWE. You've been all over Ring of Honor TV, WWE, NXT. You did the match for the Mae Young Classic, and then Madison Rayne, who appeared on everything. Like it really is a testament to how unique of a time in wrestling this is, because that type of situation does not happen 5 years ago. Am I right?
Right. It's just such a awesome time to be a women's wrestler.
Well, I want to thank you so much. Before we go, I want you to let us know how the people can follow you on social media, any upcoming projects you have, like where they can get your merch, anything of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm at Real Britt Baker on Twitter and Instagram. I have my Pro Wrestling Tees store, and you can catch me. I'm on some Ring of Honor shows this weekend in Pittsburgh and Columbus. Have a couple Ring of Honor shows coming up in December, and then just kind of bouncing around the independent scene. I'll be up in New York. I'll be in California for bar wrestling. So you just got to keep your eye on my social media and you'll find me.
Before I let you go, I got to ask, one of my readers especially wanted to know this. How many times have you been asked to do like free dental work backstage? Like, hey, check this out. I got this knocked loose during a match.
Twice, actually. So far, twice. One was, ironically, Shayna Baszler at a Shimmer show. She cracked her tooth in half. We had to get her to the dentist's office to get an emergency root canal done. And then another one was Joey Janela. I believe it was on a guardrail, cracked his tooth in half, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, same thing. What's gonna happen? His wasn't as bad. I didn't think I'm pretty sure he didn't need a root canal. But the funny thing is like, even fans sometimes will walk up to me and like show me their teeth, and I'm like, I don't have my gloves on, so please get away from me. And it's like I don't carry like a dentist's office worth of state-of-the-art supplies and materials with me, so there's not a lot I can do right here. But let's have a look,